Strange. Hi, this looks real cloudy. Oh, what's going on with my... I don't think people can see me. It's looking really bad. Maybe turn on some light. Okay. Something's wrong here. There's some kind of Hello! Looks like we've got something there. Oh, that's nice lighting. How's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me okay? Can everybody see me okay? We had a horrible blur. Good to see everybody. So as you can see, I'm not in Portland. Yeah, if you blink, you missed it. So I'm in the middle of a disaster. I showed up in Reno because I have a family member sick. They didn't have my reservation from Expedia.com for $99 a night at Circus Circus when I showed up. So they said, oh, we'll just charge you here. So then I spent an hour on Expedia.com saying, don't worry, we're gonna cancel the reservation at no charge to you, and just you can pay when you get to the hotel. So I'm being charged an extra $700 because they didn't send the itinerary to the hotel. So too late, you canceled the Expedia. What do you want us to do? So because they screwed up, somebody gets to walk off with $500. So enjoy it. How is everybody? I didn't want to cancel this morning, but yesterday we had a family member in the hospital. So I got a call yesterday that I had to get on a plane and get to Reno. So I've been here about an hour. I apologize for the crazy, but then I got here. The reservations weren't here. They gobbled up my credit card. Anyway. Hello. Thank you for all of that. How many beautiful souls are here listening to me complain? On a positive note, the hotel room is gorgeous. You know what? I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. I can't afford this trip, but I can't afford it. But you know what? It's like, 20 years from now, I won't remember this. So, oh, yes, Expedia. So listen, everyone, my apologies for all of that, but that was why I was running 10 minutes late. I had to deal with the guy at Expedia who's in Manila. And I'm like, so you just canceled it. So now I have to eat the room at $300 a night as opposed to a total of $99, which I got through my Expedia rewards. Yes, that's what's going to happen to you. Okay, cool. Cool. Right on. Okay. Thanks, Expedia. Frustrating. I love Expedia, and I always fly through Expedia, and this almost never happens, so I don't want to be bashing them, but my goodness. Okay, so enough of the drama. Let's give gratitude to everybody who was kind enough to join me here on this amazing day, starting with Terry Renner, our TA extraordinaire, and she's also a great moderator. Also, hi to Kay Gillette. Thank you for being a member. Hi, Milpo. Welcome. Cardomancy, also a member, and we welcome you. And thanks to all of the people that have joined Fairies and Angels, which is our mystical readings, and healers and empaths for people that are learning naturopathic medicine and all that amazing stuff, HCRV. And of course, to our benefactors package, those are people that they get all the other benefits, and they also get a reading once a month. Very popular with people who have their own small businesses, etc. So we just want to thank everyone who is a member, and also gratitude to everyone who decided to join us today. Hello to Greeter TK, has been helping us out for quite a while here. Kay Gillette is in the house, a member. Welcome, welcome. Stephanie, hello. How is the sound? Is the sound okay? Great. Thank you, Anonymous, for the $5 donation to the World Kitchen. The World Kitchen, as you know, brings food and emergency aid to disaster areas. So because we do have Hurricane Ida, it has made landfall in Louisiana. We are anticipating that a lot of people are going to need food and shelter in the next coming days. And I know that World Kitchen is always on the ground, ready to go with food trucks at a moment's notice. So I'm thrilled that we can now raise money for that organization here through the Oracle of Whimsy. Okay, so I will continue to say gratitude to everybody who's donating and who's joining. I think we have a new member. Welcome, welcome. Thank you again. Another anonymous donation of $5. Much gratitude. Well, what would everybody like to talk about? Looks like the Afghanistan. We're finally doing the final pullout out of Afghanistan. It was interesting when I went into the energy of Afghanistan and the conversations, how nice we were trying to work with the Taliban, and then the Taliban was actually trying to work with us. And there was a point in the remote where they asked if they could pull back a couple 100 feet for U.S. troops to start controlling people coming in, and they had agreed to that. That was something that we brought up last week. I guess that was the gate where the bombing happened. They had extended the area, and the U.S. military was taking control of that area, and they had pulled back to allow more people to get taken in. And unfortunately, that's when the blast happened. And so hopefully now we're going to be able to get everybody out that needs to get out. What it looks like for me as a remote viewer, I got a little confused because the Taliban had come in from the southeast. ISIS-K is from the east. Now, when I go into energy about ISIS-K, I don't feel that it has the financial support. I think it's like an extremist fringe group. It doesn't seem to have the same financial backing as the Taliban and other groups. You have to realize that the trend is towards moderation because the Wahhabists are not getting the funding that they used to have. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $10 donation. Hi, Carolyn Fuller. Thank you for the $5 donation to the World Kitchen. So what it looks like, just to give you a heads up about what's happening, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what it looks like for me as a remote viewer. It looks like we have some kind of tacit deal with agreeing to pull out. The Taliban doesn't look like they're going to be stable because what appears to be happening is that refugees from the Taliban who have fled to the north, along with hundreds of fighters, the anti-Taliban fighters, and some of them in the northeast they've come to the border of Tajikistan, I believe is how you pronounce it. It looks to me you have Russia and you have China you have Kurdistan, you have Tajikistan, you have this anti-Taliban, pro-Chinese Tajikistan. What it looks like is they're waiting for the Americans to pull out. They're waiting to get the go-ahead, and I believe that is when they're going to start being attacked by resistance fighters in the Northeast, specifically in the Northeast. And there are also some people that went aground. They went under that are in other areas. There are more attacks that are coming in from the east. I imagine that's ISIS-K. But it looks to me like we're going to start seeing troops coming in from the north. So publicly, while the U.S. is saying, good luck to the Taliban, we're leaving, et cetera, I see war breaking out soon after the United States leaves. And it's going to be a combination of resistance fighters and governments that, we could actually even see governments getting involved that are pro-Russian, pro-Soviet, like these former areas, Kurdistan, like I said, and now China is supporting Tajikistan. So we shall see. Thank you, Foggy Ozark, for that lovely donation to the World Kitchen. All right, so does anybody have any more questions for me before I give the empath prayer and we go in and we do all of that? Okay. Oh, Ed Asner. He was nice. He was a very nice man. Ed Asner passed away. Thank you, Miss Brazil, for that donation. It's appreciated. My mother slept through a date with Ed Asner. It's a true story. My mother was put on a blind date with Ed Asner. He was in Seattle, and they had a union event to go to. He was head of the Screen Actors Union, and my mother was the head of her union. And so there was some kind of union event, and the person organizing it, he wanted to, could he have an escort? And he said, well, why don't we connect you with Valerie? Because Valerie, she's a nice Jewish girl. Oh, you're single now. He said, really? Yeah, very pretty. She's very pretty. And she's also works with the union. So he said, great. So she was supposed to meet him at the hotel or something. She put all of her clothes out. My mother did this. And then she said, it's early. Why don't I take a little nap? I'll get up and then I'll get ready. She lied down at about 5 or whatever. She woke up at 8 in the morning the next day. She was horrified. All of her beautiful dress, everything laid out perfectly. She's like, what the hell just happened? I just slept through. I just stood Ed Asner up. So she was horrified, and she called and she was like, I'm mortified. Please, whatever. And Ed Asner said this completely okay. He understands. And he sent her a beautiful bouquet of roses. She, I could have had a new stepdad, and what can I tell you? No, I'm in Reno, Nevada. I flew out this morning at 7:30 in the morning because I have a family member in the hospital, and I'm coming to visit. So, Ed Asner, yeah, nice guy. I think of him as the Mary Tyler Moore Show. That was what he was best for. Lou. All right, let's do the empath prayer. We're going to give people a group reading. Does that sound good? All right. All right, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic Records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower us on our journey to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those we may have strife with. And together we say, Amen. I heard that the air quality had been really bad. Yeah, it was $12 a night for plus taxes to stay at Circus Circus. So I grabbed it. And then when I arrived here, they said, your itinerary's not here. So then they ran the card and charged me full price, $700 something bucks. And Expedia said, don't worry that your booking was lost. We'll just cancel. So the $99 2-day special went away, and instead I got charged $720, and they're all just looking at me blankly like, what do you want us to do about it? It's like, I don't know. Do your job? I don't know. It's just a suggestion. Very frustrating. All right. So where we are at right now is actually a really great time in our lives. Great time if you're starting new projects. It's a great time if you're starting new businesses. The Entrepreneur's card is the Ace of Wands. I love the Ace of Wands. Take a good look at that staff. It has a phallic aspect. Wands are fire. You think about Aries, masculine energy. Ace of Wands is definitely a masculine card. It has that aspect of, you're going out, you're just excited, you're passionate, you're starting some project. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are starting a business. It means a new venture, like an entrepreneurs will often get that, but it can also be just starting to create your heaven on earth, which is something that we've been talking a lot about. We've been talking a lot about modern Buddhist concepts of what happiness is and creating heaven where you're at, and then, sharing it with the rest of the world. Ace of Wands means a new beginning for everyone. It's also this like new awareness. It's almost like people are giving themselves permission to be happy. Permission, they get it. I'm supposed to be happy, and I'm put on this earth to make the world a better place. Nice Magician card coming in as the base of the matter, which suggests that you're now in a place of power where you can really begin focusing on what you need to do to make yourself happy and share it with the world. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $20 donation to World Kitchen. Appreciate it. Okay, so good cards for us. Well, I know it's true for me because I have gotten really, really interested in herbal medicine from, I always looked at herbal medicine, mostly the medicinal aspects, the alkaloids, etc. But what's really getting me excited now about herbal medicine is the traditional use, the fact that herbs are associated with certain deities and also associated with certain planets astrologically, if you look at ancient herbalists. So that's become a big passion of mine, right? So it's about finding your passion. It's interesting that when they think about passion, they use the analogy of a penis, it being erect, right? It's about your passion, pursuing your passion, and about pursuing your dreams and manifesting. So the first house here is your business. The Queen of Pentacles is the business maker. It's the hidden queen. There's a mystical aspect, right? She has a hidden aspect. But then there's another aspect where she is the business keeper. She keeps the money. She makes the money. Getting your ethics in order. So when we create, I was reading a Buddhist scripture yesterday, and one of the questions was, how do you avoid conflict with other people? And they said that conflict with other people arises when you're in a spiritual state of judgment, if you're attached to judgment. Whereas if you rise above and you stay in like a Buddha state, neutral, observing everything from a higher place, then you won't be in a state of unhappiness because you won't have any emotional attachment or judgment to a belief. It's to get beyond beliefs and just see things objectively. As an observer, this is the way to end contention. This is the fastest way to end contention between people. And one of the things it actually said in the Tibetan sutra that I was looking at is it said, just listen. And I thought, wow, that's really deep that they came up with this how many hundreds of years ago, that when you're having a conflict with another human being or you feel tension rising, consider the possibility that you're in your, they don't use the term ego, but you're in your attachment. I'm attached to this political party, or I'm attached to this particular position, and I'm going to fight and fight and fight, and I'm going to be unhappy because I am attached to this belief system or this cause. So it was just kind of interesting that they were saying, if you want to nip it in the bud, that whole back and forth, pull away and look at the situation objectively and just without any attachment, from a place of compassion, just listen and see what happens. You know, it's the fastest way to end tension between people. The reason I mention that is because the crossing card for you is the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands is about taking a higher ground. But when we talk about being about our business, and when we talk about creating heaven on earth for ourselves, you're taking a higher ground for yourself. You're holding yourself accountable based on what your beliefs are. But we can't go and dictate to somebody else, which is kind of what Biden was trying to explain to people. We can't. This is something that people weren't hearing Biden say on somebody's throat. We can't say, you're going to act like Americans and you're going to do things this way. The best thing you can do is be about your business, create your heaven on earth. And when you are dealing with people of conflict, just listen, because anything more than that is probably not going to get you very far. Thank you, Anonymous, for that donation. What is above us? More education, higher knowledge, and some of you could be going into esoterics, the esoteric studying, magic work, mystical work. The high priestess is coming in, interesting, into the fourth house, actually. So it's something manifest, which you're sitting in the Empress. Look at that. You've got an Empress you're sitting in, which is creative. You're channeling all this beautiful creative energy. The more you meditate, the more you play the mantras in your home, the more you get busy making your home your own personal heaven on earth, and sending your own little corner out to the rest of the world. And that's all you have to deal with. And allowing all this beautiful creative energy to come up from the third chakra, the Empress, connecting with Gaia, the grounding Gaia. And then all this beautiful esoteric knowledge and wisdom comes to you. It's very organic. Your past placement, what you're coming out of, is a little too rigid. There's a time and a place for the rules. The rules keep us safe, particularly when we're just learning. Coming out of the time of the Emperor, maybe we were a little bit rigid in our thinking. Now, in Hebrew, if you're looking at Kabbalah and if you're looking at mysticism, the word is Gevura. Gevura, and Gevura means boundaries. Sometimes you have to love people, we have to establish boundaries. So there's something here about coming from a place of being objective, right? Being neutral like the Emperor, but also boundaries and pursuing higher callings. You know, it's interesting when you look at this card chart. I don't know if I'll be able to show it very well. There it is. Look at this card chart. Look at the major arcanas here. You have a major arcana, high priestess in the fourth house. You've got an empress in your third house. You've got the emperor in your past placement, and you've got the Hierophant you're heading into. So your 4 points are all major arcana. So you're in a very good place spiritually. The impact of the mantras the impact of the spiritual path, of keeping your home, of your little area clean and neat and positive. Do not underestimate the power of one individual getting their head straight, entering into the hierophant, the higher knowledge, the higher spiritual states, and going into deep spiritual esoteric studies. A lot of people are interested in Tantra. A lot of people are interested in, what is it called? Vajra Buddhism, Vajrayana or something? The mystical paths of Buddhism. So there's a lot of, it's kind of like the witchcraft of Buddhism. So people are going into like the mystical a lot. How we look towards God or spirit. So the other thing that happens is she's just focused on her relationship with God. She's looking up to God. She's strengthening that relationship, that dynamic. The woman brings down life, so she has a relationship with the deity that in traditional culture was considered closer than a man's because she was able to be closer to the formation of creation. She brings life down through her. And so she is a channel from the higher world down into the physical world. His focus is on her. So this spiritual process that she's engaged in, she becomes his muse. So it becomes a muse for him. So we can save money on facelifts. We don't have to do all of that stuff. But there is quite a bit being said here about if you're strengthening those strong bonds of love with another person, how your relationship with spirit impacts your relationship with others. The hope and the fear, your relationships, to have peaceful relationships, no longer wanting to be in conflict with others. And the final outcome is fool takes a leap of faith. You could be entering into a new relationship in the coming months. Clarification, you want to try things differently now. You could be breaking things down and just starting your life all over again. So a lot of people here also that could be minimizing, that there's just too much stuff, and with too much stuff means too much stress. A lot of people could be eliminating stuff. You can see here, Fool takes a leap of faith and Hangman moving in. Okay. So that was that. That was the reading for the group. Did everybody like that? Good for you. Scrubbing out the shower, Marjorie. Yeah, we're all scrubbing out showers. That is a really good question. Did you want to look at the storm Ida first, Gail? Let's look at the storm Ida. I just want to see. I don't have a good feeling about this, I'm sorry to say. It's a category 4. Storm Ida. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick blitz on the storm Ida, and then we can start doing other blitzes. What's going on with storm? Is there any information for people in Louisiana? So the main question people want to know is if the levees will hold this time. These are the new levees that were put in after Katrina. They put a lot of money into them. It's kind of state of the art. You can see the karma card here, but 9 of Wands is holding. So 9 of Wands can be defensive. They really put a lot of, look at this. This is Hermit, right? So that's scholarly academic or information, knowledge coming regarding the concern, and then money. So there were a lot of intelligent scientists, engineers, etc., that put a lot of money into the existing system. There was some corruption that happened where people tried to take shortcuts in order to save money. There might have been some. This is a problem that can sometimes happen when you go with private companies, but there's a thief card there, which has me concerned about potentially people using government resources in ways that were not helpful. Yeah, you can see here, there's some corruption that happened, potentially some corruption that happened in Louisiana regarding some of the security and safety measures that were put in place. Double aces, that's good. Hierophant. Some of the levees higher up will hold, but further down the levee is going to possibly break. And that's the question. They seem to be not putting as much money and safety into the cheaper neighborhoods. Judgment is coming. Possible losses, hopes and fears, and then the final outcome, Two of Wands. One of the good things that seems to have happened regarding this storm is that there's a lot of infrastructure that was built, solid infrastructure in case this event happened again. So even though there is going to be some destruction that is northeast of the impact of the hurricane, it looks like it's a little weaker there as you go towards Alabama and Florida. Like that seems to be the area that's more vulnerable. But I'm pretty impressed with the amount. It looks like New Orleans did a lot to protect themselves. You can see contracts, Two of Wands. There could be other states or other areas that were not as well prepared as parts of Louisiana based on these cards. So it could have been a lot worse than it's going to be. The takeaway from these cards is that it could have been a lot worse, but because of science and investing, you can see all the entrepreneurs and the money and the science and the knowledge and the sound judgment. Is you also had some builders or people coming in that were trying to take shortcuts. But overall, the levees save a lot of lives. That's what I see. Awesome. Yeah, it feels to me like it takes a sharp, it goes like this and then goes like that. Because I'm an HCRV practitioner. So what we do is we literally attach to the target. I know, we're weird. We attach to the target and then we basically become one with the target and then we let ourselves be carried by the energy. So that's basically quick technique. That's like more advanced. But basically the reason we have people do accord and attach and then give unconditional empathy and compassion to the target and then surrender and let yourself carried by the target, that's like the advanced HCRV. That's how you can get carried by a storm or carried by an army. That's why last week we got carried by the fight, and that's why we knew 4 days, because you just attach to the energy and you just follow it. So I'm concerned about the northeast of this northeast of the area. Yeah. Okay, so the next question, we had a question here earlier. I want to honor it. But that was solid, Two of Wands. That would lead me to think, when I went into that energy, that felt to me like they built some solid structures over the last 16 years, like solid, almost like structures where you could like stadium-like structures. Like there's going to be it seems to be a little bit better organized. They didn't have as much time to get out though. Okay, so yeah, replanting of the erosion. There's one of the, we go back and forth. Sometimes, depending upon what people want to do, it's like a kind of a collective decision with our charities. But the reason I chose the World Kitchen, which is on the list of charities that people picked, was because we know what happens after these kinds of events. And so getting food relief to people as fast as possible, food and shelter is, what I want to focus on today, just making sure we have that taken care of. I'm sorry, I can't see there was a question and I'm having a hard time finding it. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, feel free to start sending me questions now because I'm having trouble finding. I apologize. All right, I'll just wait for new questions because it's a little bit odd. Please put your questions in all caps. Yes, that would make it easy. Somebody was asking about Georgia or something. What kind of revolution? Korea. I don't think that Kim Jong-un is alive. It's like, why is he so skinny? Why does he look 10 years younger? Because 10 years ago, Kim Jong-un was here. Like that, they're like, why is he so skinny? I was like looking at those and I was thinking, that is Kim Jong-un, but a lot younger. Is that why he's skinny, or is this film footage from like 10 years ago? It's very strange. Okay, great. Let's go ahead. We'll do Korea first, and then I'll go. You guys are great. I'll get through all those questions. Awesome. All right. We're playing for the World Kitchen, in case you just joined us. They are a nonprofit organization. People know who our choices are. All right, Korea. What is going on in Korea? They're having a real hard time controlling COVID. On the one hand, North Korea is refusing to release how many people have died of COVID, but I think it was pretty bad. The problem with North Korea is the same thing that was wrong with the Trump administration, right? The problem with North Korea is that when you are in a cult and you're surrounded by a bunch of other people that think exactly like you do, you wind up in a bubble, right? It's an echo chamber where everybody is just in the same world and they have no comprehension that anybody else thinks any differently than they do. That's North Korea. So because they've all told themselves that they're going to be successful and they're going to take over the world and it's going to be so great, they enter into the card reading as a Six of Wands. We are North Korea. We are the greatest country in the world. We are following our fearless leader to our destiny. Six of Wands. But what's happening objectively in North Korea is not good. You can see Three of Swords, and it's related heartbreak and unhappiness and COVID. This is angry wind. My concern is that there are people in North Korea that are so poor, they're literally eating leaves. I don't think they had a successful vaccination program for people in rural areas of North Korea. And I think that ultimately, it wiped out their farming community. The problem is the rural areas, the farming community, if they don't get vaccinated, then you lose your farmers. We're not producing enough food. You can see the heartache due to COVID, and there will be much grief. So the main problem when you go into Korea had to do with the fact that they did not have they were in denial, and they didn't adequately prepare for COVID, and it wound up, it's already out of the barn. The horse is out of the barn. That's, trying to control a situation, trying to push back because they got to certain areas too late. I don't see Kim Jong-un in power. I see his sister in power. You can see a heartbreak. I also see heart attack or inflammation in the heart. COVID is an inflammatory condition. It causes a vasculitis. I had a patient recently. She had a vasculitis in the eye. The doctor missed it. He said, "You have an optical vasculitis." That's not COVID. That's an optical vasculitis. I went into her energy. I gave her a reading. I'm like, "You've got COVID." "No, I don't have COVID. I have an optical vasculitis in that eye." No, that's right, because the virus gets into the vasculature, and when it does that, it causes an inflammation. 1 week later, she took a test. She was positive for COVID. So when you get this kind of inflammation in the vasculature, heart, and then you've got a COVID card, angry wind, qi in Chinese medicine, angry wind, lungs. And then in terms of leadership, Korea, there she is. Kim Jo-jong, and then heartbreak. So they're starting to slowly get control over COVID. You have an Ace of Wands, finally some kind of vaccination, but talk about embarrassing. So basically it says there will be much grieving, and that they don't have the actual numbers of people that were buried in some rural villages, but there is much grief. Sorry about the buffering. It's a hotel. So that's basically what they are saying. Okay, so is New York City going to be affected? I don't think so. I think the hurricane is headed to, if a sharp right, wouldn't that be Alabama? Alabama, Tennessee. I don't think Florida would be affected, would it? Maybe parts of the Panhandle. I don't know. I don't think so. There's no new stimulus checks. That was already announced. They want people to go back to work. Let's take a look at the Canada elections. I don't know anything about them, but we'll pull cards. Oh, Justin Trudeau is running again in Canada. Let's take a look. Thank you for telling me. Americans, we're terrible. Okay, let's see here. Who's going to win in Canada? Thank God for those levies, huh? Could have been so much worse. I think is he running against a man or a woman? If he's running against a woman, he wins. I think he wins. I think Trudeau's going to win. You can see the magician for Trudeau. I'm going into this energy. And there's a woman talking to me, and she was praying. She's Canadian. She's Christian. She's on the fence about Trudeau. She said she has conflict about it. She prayed, and then in the end, she voted for Trudeau. So the people that were on the fence that have been praying about it and they just don't know what to do, she decided to vote for Trudeau because she said that this is a crazy time right now in Canada. This is what the voters said. And she said it's a very crazy, difficult time in Canada, and we don't need to change. Now is not the time to have a change in the Prime Minister. We have to keep with what we currently have because the situation is really wild right now. You can see the voter in conflict. But then Trudeau wins. Who's he running against? The problem, the reason why he's strong is because I think he could possibly get a majority government because the boat is really rocky. And I would be surprised. When's his birthday? Oh, he'll get a minority? Here. And then magician power. December 24th, he's a Capricorn. The conservative running against him does pretty well. You know, I'm wondering if that's the conservative. There's a guy who does really well. How's the conservative doing? They're neck and neck. I'm wondering if that King of Swords is the conservative, because Swords would be a conservative. Oh, he's a Christmas baby. How's Trudeau going to be doing? How's Trudeau going to be? Okay. How's Trudeau going to do? Heartbreak. You know, things are, you guys have gone through some stuff in Canada, man. It's like heartbreak, poverty, homelessness, bad decisions that were made, foolish decisions that were made. You know, they want to accuse him of everything. Look at that 9 of Wands. Jeez Louise. Stressing out. COVID really messed it up. I think that Trudeau will do, Trudeau's going to win. But I do think it might be a problem with that conservative guy. He is gaining speed because, but no, I think it's going to be Trudeau. Because that woman that came in talking, you know, when you have a moderate Christian on the fence praying like that, and just like, no, it just doesn't feel right to change things right now. That's probably representing the thought forms of a lot of people that are on the fence right now. Oh, he's a Trumper? Well, there you go. That's why it didn't work out. Cray cray. As Linda G likes to say, cray cray. All right, now I've lost the questions again. Oh my God. Well, that woman, she was kind of a moderate. She was kind of like the white Christian who praised and voted for Obama twice, but was on the fence, but then, no, voted for Obama and then votes for Romney. That kind of a voter. Um, so I think that, but the fact that she was doing that, but then went back to Justin Trudeau, you're safer with the person you know in difficult times. I think that that was basically what I was feeling. Okay, Terry Morgan wants to know about dark money in politics. Good question. If you haven't done so yet, be sure and share, like, subscribe, and click the bell notification if we still have one. We don't have a bill. Oh, well, you could join. That would be nice. You could subscribe. You could join. All right. How is Congress going to deal with the dark money issue? The problem is the money's being buried in charities. It's being buried. That's what it looks like. They're hiding the money. That's the problem. I'm seeing hidden money. Secrets, family secrets about money. Harvesting. It's like they hide it in a charity. They hide it in something so it looks like one thing, but it's really something. The laws are a mess regarding giving, donations, etc. And so that's the main problem. And that the law, because of how the laws are structured, it's very difficult to stop all the dark money. That's basically what they're saying. It looks like there's going to be movement in the next 6 months to change existing laws so that the federal government has greater options for prosecution. Because you can see here the family secrets, G-Man, successful in the money, success 6 months. So I think we're going to be seeing more arrests and more charges. I know that Lev Parnas and Fruman, didn't they plead guilty recently? So they're cooperating with the federal investigation. It just goes so dang. It's frustrating for me and other remote viewers because it goes so slow. And so we go in, somebody hires us, we go in, we read the documents and say, oh, that's what's in Cohen's office. Oh, so it should be done now, right? No, they have to do this. It's like they have to interview this person, then they have to interview that person. It's like, probably, based on what we're seeing, remember when we had gone into the remotes on Ivanka Trump and a couple years ago? Remember Michael Cohen? How many people here have been watching the show for a couple of years? Do you remember when Michael Cohen was sitting at the desk talking to Robert Mueller, and Robert Mueller told him to make some phone calls if he wanted to keep his tuchus out of jail? Do you remember that? Do you remember when he called Ivanka Trump? He told us he called her. And what he said, baby girl, you're going to have to cooperate. They've already got your signature on the documents. So that was what, 2-3 years ago? So I just thought, okay, it's over. I mean, what more is there to talk about? I mean, we were like off to go get more candy. I mean, like, well, what's the point, right? Like, why do we keep having to talk about this? If they caught her 2-3 years ago, but then things got to be a little complicated. Then when we went into her energy, she was like a federal informant. Her husband was supplying information to the feds. And then the other thing that came out was what? That she was going to testify against her father, that he was mentally insane and that his mental health had rapidly deteriorated And particularly it had gotten worse after COVID, and that she was going to sit on the witness stand and she was going to testify against him and testify that he was not in his right mind in order to save him. Does everybody remember that? Isn't it cool? You guys get the news early. You can go water the plant, just watch everybody else have a countdown for the next 6 months or whatever. So it just got released 2 days ago that the feds are looking into suppressed information about Donald Trump's mental health and deteriorations in his mental health that were happening while he was in the White House. So remember when we did the remote where we put ourselves in the shoes of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was sitting in a bed in the hospital. And do you remember what kind of questions they were asking him? There was a point in the questioning where they felt, well, since we got him in here, since we've got him in a robe, in the bed, we can look at all his prescription medications, his Adderall and everything else. We've got all this information. But you know what I think we should really do? We should really start doing some CTs. We should do some imaging of the brain, start doing some specs, start looking at inflammation in the brain that could have occurred while you had COVID. Start taking some really comprehensive cognition tests while you're here in the hospital. That felt like the energy. And so I felt, as Donald Trump, like I needed to get the hell out of the hospital. I mean, it was one thing when they were testing this and testing that, and they were checking pressure in my lungs, and, I get it. But the constant, do you know your name? Do you know who the president of the United States? The questions began to take on, do y'all remember this when we did this remote? They all began to take on a psychiatric. At that point, he started to feel like they're going to lock me up. Remember that? So now it's coming out that that's exactly. So that is Ivanka Trump's get out of jail card. That's her crying at the tarmac. Oh, goodbye, Daddy. Right? In a way, she does what she has to do to save her father. Right? You're crazy. I love you, Dad, but you're insane. Believe it or not, I'm doing this to save you. He's crazy. Yeah, I'm testifying against you that you're mentally insane. That's what's coming. Okay, so that's the story with dark money. It gets buried in other areas. In about 6 months, though, we'll see a lot of progress in terms of catching people that are engaged in. I think I'll do maybe one more question. Close. I have some running around to do my. The person that's in the hospital wanted me to go and grab some, when you're in the hospital, you want all the stuff you can't get. So I'm going to go and pick her up some stuff. Do you know what would you want if you were in the hospital? Like, what would you want of more than anything in the world, right? I would want, your favorite snack or whatever. So this person said, I want a real cup of coffee. So I'm going to go and get her a real cup of coffee. All right, so this is a question coming from Foggy Ozark, and she wants to know about the new green jobs. Did everybody get a chance to look at the bill that got passed, the infrastructure bill? It's all green. The old economy is dead. You got to admit, we have the perfect president to deliver the bad news, right? What did he say to us? What did he say to us before when we went into a remote before he became president? What did he say? He said, between you and me, folks, we're broke, right? Although we ain't got money, I'm still in love with you, honey. So how much money did we lose from Afghanistan? How much equipment? So basically what's happened, basically the deal between Putin and China and Trump was that we can no longer financially afford to be a superpower because between you and me, folks, we're broke. So who's going to deliver the bad news? It has to be Biden. So Biden comes in to a bankrupted country. And the only thing and we don't know, we're completely bankrupted. And all you can do is withdraw all the troops. China and Russia are going to take that road as soon as we leave through proxy armies in the north, both the Northeast and the Northwest, but mostly from the Northeast. And it's no longer our war to fight, but there's also a feeling like we can't afford it anymore. So instead, it's all about the way that America saves themselves is with nation and technology. But I think it's very obvious what Biden is saying is, we're not going to be a superpower. We're not going to be that way anymore. We don't have any money. We can't continue to blow trillions of dollars on. We lost, right? Okay, so we're going to look at the green economy in the coming years. China and Russia don't think they're going to go broke because they're backing the rebels. Our job is to create heaven on earth in our own homes here in the United States, in our own country, clean up, which is exactly what Biden is doing, and to break it to us gently. We're broke. Like we didn't know this. We see the homeless everywhere. I've been to other countries. I was just in Iceland. I saw the whole country. I saw 2 homeless people. So we know we're broke. We know why we're leaving all these countries. We know we don't have the money to maintain this anymore. Heartbreak. It's like Biden's between a rock and a hard place. It's not like he caused this. This was the deal we struck. This is the secret deal we struck with the North, with the resistance. God, don't you think if we know, how could the Taliban not know? Is that weird? That's what, talk about an echo chamber. They're in a cult. They only listen to their own people. Somebody said, aren't you worried the Taliban's going to find out? The Taliban would have nothing to do with this community, right? So the problem with the echo chamber, they really think they've won because they're surrounded by all of their friends. ISIS-K is going to get wiped out pretty fast because they don't have the financial. They're only based in the east in some villages that I did a remote on it. I asked if I could get in, and they took me to a village which was the birthplace of ISIS-K, and they said it came from leadership in those villages. But it just doesn't have the appeal with young people or the financial resources of the Taliban. And also these massive Brave New World, modern freedom fighters that are coming in from the North. We want freedom, good luck with that. So, situation is heartbreaking overseas. The fool takes a leap of faith. The great mediator, Biden. The clarification. COVID is going to be taken care of in the United States, but in other countries, it's getting bad. We are probably going to get a handle of it better than some other places. Our economy is going to do great. Our technology is going to do great, but I think Biden and everybody else is very concerned with other countries. You can see heartbreak and confusion abroad. This is abroad. This is COVID abroad. But look it up. This is like overseas. But when you look at Biden, he really does have a very close relationship. It's true. with Pete Buttigieg. They are so close. He and Pete Buttigieg. If he ran again, he might pick Buttigieg as his VP second time around, because Buttigieg and him often will show up together side by side. This is Buttigieg's card, and it's like they are like Siamese twins. But what's interesting is the amount of power he gave Buttigieg in terms of completely overhauling transportation. That is a lot of work. They're completely redoing the trains. Yeah, it's very good. You know what I like about Biden's cards also, and the new Green Deal, is it's like going for it, right? He just goes for it. The leap of faith, and then it's our legacy. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? This talks about the card of legacy or inheritance. So it's something that Biden has talked about, that we are building a legacy for our children, right? We don't want to build a legacy that's poverty and hunger and injustice. We want to build a legacy that's, healing the planet. So, yeah, we do it for ourselves. And that's good. That allows us to be it allows, the government, it gets to be the shining city on the hill, but not by conquering and pounding our version of religion and down people's throats, but by creating heaven on earth for ourselves, new technologies, and being a light to other nations that way. All right. Did everybody have fun? Everybody have a good time? Good. Hi, Mark. Good to see you. Oh, great. Yeah. Though I started with a complete meltdown, I couldn't see. Yeah, things happen. Thank you so much for the moderators, Julie Tirado, Terry Renner, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle Taylor. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who decided to join us. Robin Britton, Gwen Gottlieb, Cheryl Nash. Thank you. Miss P. Martins, thank you so much for being a member. Boris Snow, thank you. Michelle Mybell, thank you so much for your help today. The Queen's Tarot, hello. Good to see you here. All right, be well, everyone. Thank you, Carter Mesquite and Cherry Roseberry and Bugs Bunny's in the house. Patricia Jones. Love and light, everybody. If you're still trying to get in for a reading, I will be back home on Tuesday, ready to rock and roll and give readings to everybody again. All right, love and light, everyone. Be well, stay safe, and send out prayers to Louisiana and all the southern states that might be affected by Ida. All right. Blessings, everyone. Take care. Louisiana and all the southern states that might be affected by Ida. All right. Blessings, everyone. Take care.